We got to start doing some running. Now, there are some things that most people do wrong when they run, and we're going to go over those, some common mistakes and correct running form. All right? Look, when you run a marathon, it's 26 miles, okay? 26 miles going laterally across this way. If you bounce when you run, if you jump and you run like this and you jump, you add something like 3.5 miles to that marathon in vertical distance. You've got to deal with the lateral distance already. Don't add more vertical. So the biggest and best tip I can give you when it comes to running is to not bounce, okay? For women, it's really easy to tell. You can tell with the ponytail or whatever. But what you absolutely do not want to do is land on that heel. Okay, heel striking is one of the worst things you can do. You can see the impact that's having on my kneecap every time I heel strike, and then run off and jump. Heel strike, run off and jump. Heel strike, run off and jump. Okay, you're adding this whole jumping motion that you don't need, working vertically, and it's like driving a car. If you were going to drive a car and try to get somewhere as fast as you can, but the whole time you're driving, you got your foot on the gas, and you keep hitting the brakes. That's what happens when we land on our heel like this, okay? So where do you want to land? You want to land directly underneath your hips, okay? Think about it leaning forward from your ankles. You want your foot to land on the balls of your foot, okay? Just like that, on the ball of your foot, but underneath your hips. So you see the difference between this and this with no bounce. Bam. Bam. Picking your feet up behind you. Instead of thinking about pushing off, you're pulling. Okay? So I'm not reaching way out and grabbing. Instead, I'm just leaning forward from my ankles, picking my feet up behind me. I'm not hurting my knees. Okay? Nothing like that. Another thing, when you're running, you want to try and keep your heart rate down. That's going to let you fatigue slower and you can run faster and further. One little tip I can give you, touch your index finger to your thumbs, just like that. That keeps you loose and relaxed when you run. If you clench your fist like this and you're running, you're tensing your whole body, that's really bad. You're going to fatigue a lot faster. So keep those fingertips and those index fingers just like that, nice and loose. All right? Another big mistake people make when they're running, this one's really common, is they're working against themselves this way. So not only are they jumping and working against themselves by adding that vertical jump in there, they're coming across their body like this. That's inefficient and it's working against your forward momentum, okay? So keep your thumbs and fingers just like this and work your hands perfectly back and forth, forward and backwards, not coming across your body. Look what happens when I start coming across my body. When I'm running, my arms start moving, then my whole upper body starts twisting, and then I overcompensate, okay? I have a crossover angle on my feet. I'm crossing over like that with my lower body, okay? It's just very inefficient. It hurts our IT band. If you're a runner and you get an IT band, if that starts to hurt, you're probably twisting across your body, overcompensating with that crossover angle. We want to avoid that crossover angle. Feet land perfectly underneath us, hands moving forward, landing on the balls of our feet, picking those legs up behind us, okay? Again, one more time with that arms coming across the body. Just like a minute ago I was telling you, when you're driving a car, if you're racing, if you keep hitting the brakes while you're trying to drive, that's the same thing as landing on your heels. Also, if you were going to race a car, you wouldn't, all right, 3, 2, 1, go. You wouldn't hit the gas and you wouldn't start jerking the steering wheel back and forth. But that's the same thing that happens when we start coming across our body with our hands, okay? So I'm going to give you in slow motion real quick what it should look like when we run correctly, all right? So my hands going back and forth, land on the balls of my feet, feet come up behind me. Just like that. Feet come up behind me, just like that. Okay? You notice I had very minimal bounce. You want to think about a straight line over the top of your head. So what are we not doing? We're not bouncing, we're not landing on those heels and hurting our knees, and we're not coming across our body.